What is up, cinephiles? Welcome back to Screen Kings. Today's video is going to be a review of Netflix action political thriller called Beckett, directed by Ferdinando Cito Filomarino, and in it we have our titular character named Beckett, played by John David Washington, who's an American tourist in Greece, and he finds himself as the target of a manhunt after a devastating accident. Now, quick reminder guys, before I continue with this review, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Hit that subscribe button for weekly reviews of movies and TV shows, and while you're at it, give this video a like because it really helps the channel. Now, I'm joined again with my reliable resident cinephile of the channel, Carlos Laron. Hello!
Hey Kevin, how are you?
Doing great. Of course, I want to go on a vacation, and Greece is one of my go-to or my dream destinations, but after this movie, definitely not in these circumstances. So,
No.
what can you say about this movie? Are you itching to go to Greece then?
Oh my gosh, you know what? This film really centered in on what could possibly go wrong for tourists and travelers, right? It's the stuff made of nightmares. I've been to some parts of Europe, and it made me think, like, if I were to be in the same situation, how would I do? Like, would I survive the way Beckett did? This is very unthinkable for every tourist and traveler, so I don't think I'd be up for it. But as per the movie, I honestly look forward to it because JDW is becoming a household name, and he has a growing resume now after Tenet and Malcolm and Marie. I needed to see him in another film to see how truly capable he is, and I think this is a great film for that. I found Beckett to be interesting and mildly gripping, for lack of a better word. It was also giving me very been there, done that vibes, like American in a foreign country. We've seen a lot of those, like series and movies, right? It feels also like it was from the 70s, even though it was set in the present, which I liked actually because it did serve as paying homage to the international thrillers from that era.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, when I've seen this poster, I wasn't drawn because the title, it feels so uninspired. Like, they just gave up, like, okay, what are we gonna title this movie? Let's just name it Beckett because it's the name of the character. When I was watching the trailer, I was expecting for some Jason Bourne type of action thriller, and that is not actually what you need to set up or condition your mind to, because it is much different. There are still some action cat and mouse chases here, but since Beckett here is an everyday man, he doesn't have the skills like Liam Neeson to outwit the guys who are after him. He does a lot of blunders and mistakes, and in terms of that realness, like putting yourself in his situation, I can definitely empathize with the character. You would think that there would have to be more character development for the character played by John David Washington, but the script, however, doesn't really serve him that way. Let's just say this movie starts to pick up when one character is introduced. We are finally given context behind what's happening. Vicky Krieps. Actually, the movie could have used more of her character because she has more of that charisma. I'm not saying that John David Washington is not compelling. He is a compelling actor, but I felt like he needed a character to play opposite with for his character to shine more, so that he can bounce off that energy, because it's more on running and internalizing the tragedy that happened earlier.
Totally on the same page with you with everything you said. I did enjoy it for the most part, but the slow progress really made me a little, where is this going, Beckett becomes a target, right? And the manhunt was conveniently taking place during political unrest in Athens. He just had to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He also had to endure so much physical pain, which I have to tell you, Kevin, if I were that main character, I would have died because of the injuries that I got from all that running and all that chasing. Like you said, Beckett is an everyday man. I doubt any person in the given situation would survive. So he gets swept up in some conspiracy, and he constantly has to run away. So many questions there and the answers are so few. He meets other characters which could be villains for all we know, because given the neo-noir-ish feel of the film, you can't just trust anyone, right? On top of that, he doesn't understand nor speak the language of the locals in Greece. Like Murphy's Law, everything could go wrong, will go wrong.
When it comes to the staging of the action sequences, it's messy, it's realistic because Beckett here is not a skilled fighter. I also like how they use Greece here because early on, set on that postcard setting, state of vacation that you would like. And then the movie gets into its grittier aspects, like it's actually the wrong time to go on a visit, and we have some uprisings. This conspiracy makes more of a fitting place to actually play out because the character here is not really tied to the central conspiracy or mystery involved. There's already an inherent hurdle here that you need to make the character likable or give us the time on making us invested on the central mystery, to which I think the movie failed because it just spends a lot of time plodding from one escape to another, and some of the escapes might require some suspension of disbelief. Beckett does some actions here that not a normal person would do, so some of it comes off as cringeworthy, though there's one particular scene in the subway involving a knife fight that was particularly tension gripping.
Yeah.
But other than that, as I've said, this character feels like a headless chicken running around, and it does not help that the Greek are not really translated. So I guess it is purposely done because you want to put your audience on the shoes of the main character here so that you will be able to share his state of confusion. But it does not really help because the rest of the villains here, which you can already tell by how this neo-noir things go, they're just thinly written, C-level, and not really remarkable. But JDW has brought so much physicality to the role. He proves himself as an action star here, but my thing is, he mostly exists in the moment. He mostly has this blank stare in his eyes, and whenever the narrative calls for it to recall or help him process the tragedy that happened earlier in the film, that's the only time that you sort of felt for his character. So I'm not saying that JDW doesn't have the charisma here, but I was looking for something more from him.
I think he is a fine actor, and here he is very promising. It runs in the family for sure because his dad is, of course, Denzel Washington. He showed a lot of, like you said, grueling physicality here. As per the emotional pull of the film, I can only imagine what Beckett's character went through because there's so much of that paranoia and that fear and survivor's remorse, the curiosity of wanting to know why he was being chased. It was still so fresh, and he has to process everything within a day. I thought that he played that so well, so kudos to that. It's the fact, I guess, that we never really got to learn about Beckett as a person. So I can tell you in all honesty that I wasn't fully invested in him, but I was rooting for him. So, you know, there's a big difference, right? Alicia Vikander was there for a while, and I always love seeing her in films. The introduction of the other two characters played by Boyd Holbrook and Vicky Krieps, their characters are so interesting because the moment you see them, you think one way. You would think that, oh, maybe they're gonna help Beckett, but there's some twists and turns here, and I thought their characters were a nice layer to the story.
I think it falls short when it comes to a political thriller because you're just laid out with a few crumbs here. You're not really given both sides here when it comes to the two opposing parties that will be later on explained here in the film, and it never really lives up to its potential as a political thriller here to be something that's remarkable. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm going to forget all that political layer of this film in about 30 days, and all I'm just gonna remember about this film is this is the film where JDW is on the run because he's at the wrong place at the wrong time. It's hard to say that this movie is dragging because there are a lot of things happening, but when it comes to providing insight behind those set pieces, there's nothing really much for the most part of the film, or at least for the first half. And there's a fear in you that maybe the payoff would be worth it. And when it came to that, for me, my experience was I wasn't really invested. I didn't really care because it was a little too late in the movie, but it's still a serviceable Netflix action movie. I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. I might be harsh on this review, but yeah. You know what? I'm starting to get suspicious about your grade because sometimes you're really positive about this movie, then for all I know. But yeah, let me know what you think.
I blindside you. Anyway, wow, okay. I like all your points and I believe your rating. But as for me, well, I like the performances more than I like the story, and I'm not nitpicking or anything, but you know, some scenes I found to be unbelievable and ridiculous. Like you said, you might forget about this film soon enough. I actually have to agree with you on that. To me, the motives and the conspiracies didn't feel fully fleshed out and they were quite thin. The chase scenes I found to be more stressful than fun. Yeah, I wasn't fully invested in it. And with that being said, I am going to rate this a little lower than you. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5.
I can see that coming. So that's it for our review of Beckett. How about you guys? Have you seen this movie? Do you disagree with us? It's okay, let us know what you think in the comment sections down below. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, hit that like button and subscribe to us for weekly content.
Awesome.
Carlo, as always, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much guys for watching. Until then, we will see you all on
Bye,
the next
everyone.
one.